It's Sunday, April 23rd, 2023, and this is my 8-week report on my recovery from my right total knee surgery that I had on February 28, 2023. So, 8 weeks ago tomorrow. So, this will tell you where I am after 8 weeks of recovery. I just finished my second exercise set of the day. Those exercise sets are relatively simple, mostly bending of the knee and some strengthening exercises. I did maybe 30 deep knee bends, not very deep, getting down to about 90 degrees. And then I did some stairs and also bent my knee, both lying flat on my back and sitting in a chair. Flat on my back, I can get my knee to a little over 120 degrees right now, and I can straighten it to 0 degrees, but I've been able to do that since right after surgery, so that has not been an issue for me. And sitting in a chair today, I got to 127 degrees in the set I just finished. Earlier this morning, right after I got up, I got to 130. Now, what else am I doing? I'm walking. I haven't been using any walking aids since the day after I got home from surgery. And so I have a walker, and we have a cane. I use the walker to hang things on. I actually have 2 walkers because we live in a 3-story house. I had a walker for each floor so that I would not have to carry the walker up the spiral staircase. Once was bad enough. But so I had initially a walker on this floor here and a walker up the spiral staircase, which is where my bedroom and bathroom are located. We do have a bathroom on this floor too, but the shower that I prefer is upstairs. So, I haven't been using the walker, as I said, except to hang things from. And I also use it for some of my exercises. I use it for my knee bends. And I've also been doing some kneeling, where I kneel on the floor. And I use the walker for that. What I do is put a couple pillows on the floor underneath the walker, and then I use the walker to support myself while I kneel down on the pillows and gradually let more and more weight go onto my knee that I have knelt on. And that works pretty well. Yeah, it's possible for me to kneel on a couple of pillows on the floor. It's not comfortable, but I can do it. Okay, what else am I doing? Well, I walk quite a bit, and I do periodic stretches throughout the day. I usually do 3 to 4 full exercise sets that include knee bending and some strengthening exercises, knee bends, deep knee bends, etc. And also some work with a exercise strap, which is basically a band, a flexible band that I can stretch out, and it puts load on my knee, so I do various exercises against that to strengthen my knee. And I go up and down the stairs. We have 28 stairs in the house, and I go up and down the stairs a number of times every day, probably about 10 times every day, so that's 280 steps a day, both up and down. And I go up the steps normally, and I try not to put my hands on the rails. Occasionally I do just for balance, particularly on the spiral staircase, where the steps are pretty narrow on the inside of the spiral, which when I'm going up is where my surgical leg is. But I can do it, and I also go down normally, step over step. I still feel that quite a bit in my right knee. I mean, I can feel that my knee needs to be stronger. So going up and down the steps helps with that. But I can do it. I can also go down the steps without touching the railings. I do, though, usually have a hand on a railing just for stability, unless I'm carrying stuff. And then I can go down without touching the railings. But I don't feel super stable going down without touching the railings. But as I said, I can do it. And then I go outside. And going outside is usually kind of two things every day. I go for a walk, and I have gone as far as a mile. Usually I go between a half mile and 3/4 of a mile. Yesterday I did a 3/4 mile walk. And I'm doing two things when I walk. One, I am walking faster. I'm trying to walk at a normal pace, and I've found that I can almost keep up with my wife, who is a fairly fast walker, and that's good. And that's a big improvement over the last few weeks. I think the first time I walked any distance outside, I did half a mile, and it took me 24 minutes. And yesterday, the half mile part of my walk took me about 12 minutes. So I've more than doubled my pace, and I'm doing pretty well on that. And I try to walk a little faster every day and a little bit farther. It might only be 100 yards farther, but it is farther. And the other thing I work on is my gait. I try to walk as close to normally as I can, and I think I'm pretty much there. I ask my wife to look at me while I'm walking, and she says I'm not limping. It feels like I am, because obviously my leg is not fully recovered. I still have a ways to go on strength and particularly stamina. At the end of my walk yesterday, 3/4 of a mile, my leg was pretty tired. I didn't really feel it until about the 3/4 point in the walk, and then I could feel my leg getting tired, and it's particularly tired in the back of my knee. Go figure. I have to look up some exercises to strengthen the back of my knee. So far, the exercises are mostly strengthening the quadriceps and calf muscles and things. So that's something to work on. There's always something to work on after total knee replacement. The other issue that I still have is swelling and progressive stiffness. When I get up in the morning, my right knee looks almost the same as my left knee. So in the morning when I wake up, I have almost no swelling. And as the day goes on, as I sit, get up, move around, etc., I find that the leg gradually swells up until by evening it's swollen up, not anywhere near what it used to be, but it's still swollen. And I start having a lot of stiffness, and the muscles feel really tight around the knee, almost like there's a band wrapped around the knee. And that limits flexibility. For example, if I do an exercise set just before bed, which I often do, where I was able to bend my knee to 125 to 130 degrees in the morning, just before bed, I'm lucky if I can get it to 120, and I really have to push to do that. So, in the morning, I can just sit in a chair and bend my knee back 120 degrees, no problem. In the evening, I have to sit in the same chair, bend it as far as I can, then use my left foot to push the right foot back, and 120 is about the limit because of the stiffness and swelling that's developed over the course of the day. I'm still icing my knee, usually after every exercise set and after my walk. And I'm, probably icing about 6 to 8 times a day. I use a gel ice pack, and they're good for about 15 to 20 minutes. So, 6 to 8 times a day for 15 to 20 minutes. Another front is that I'm not taking very many pain pills. Last week I went for 5 full days, 120 hours, without taking any pain pills at all. And that worked pretty well. But I found that over the 5 days, the stiffness that was developing in my knee as each day progressed was getting a little worse. It was about the same in the morning every day, but by the end of that 5th day, my knee was really stiff and pretty sore. And so I went back to taking a little bit of ibuprofen. So now, that was 4 or 5 days ago. I'm taking 1 or 2 ibuprofen every couple of days. I think I took 2 yesterday. I haven't taken any today. And I didn't take any last night. Sleeping. Oh, I can sleep through, although I usually don't. I usually wake up about 4 o'clock in the morning and have to get out of bed to run into the bathroom. But that's not too bad. And I have found when I first came home, I could lie on my back, and if I put a pillow between my knees, I could roll onto my right side with the surgical knee down. And the pillow provided padding and spread the load out from my left leg, which was on top of the right leg. And it was really difficult initially to roll onto my left side. At least for the first few days, I couldn't do it at all. And then over the next week or two, I gradually got to the point where I could do it with a pillow between my knees, and it took a while. But now I can just roll to either side without any trouble, and I don't need the pillow anymore for sleeping. So that's nice. And I don't have very much pain at night. The pain I have is mostly due to the tightness in the muscles. For example, when I'm walking, which I usually do in the early afternoon for my longer walk, I have a considerable tightness in the muscles, and it's more stretching pain than anything else, and it isn't that bad. I don't need a painkiller for it. So that's pretty much where I am right now. Oh, there's one other thing I should mention. Right now I'm sitting in my chair. It's a recliner. I got my feet up, and I will, however, when I get out of the chair, I'll notice that my right leg is really stiff. And the first couple of steps I take, I can really feel it, and I don't walk normally for the first 2 or 3 steps. I found that if just before I stand up, I extend my knee as far as I can and tighten up my quadriceps muscles, the thigh muscles above the knee, and hold that for 30 seconds or so, that it helps in terms of how my knee feels when I stand up. So, that's a bit of a hassle. For example, next Tuesday, I have to go back to see the surgeon for the last time. At least that's the plan, unless there's something wrong that he wants to see me again about. It's a 30-minute drive over to his office, and I know that by the time I get there, my leg is going to be pretty stiff. So I will get up and walk around a bit before I go in to see him. And while I'm waiting to see him, I'll be sitting there in the waiting room. I will work on bending my knee as far as I can and getting the flexibility back from the stiffness that I know will develop during the drive, so that we get a better indication of the condition of my knee and the flexure of the knee, etc., while I'm seeing the doctor. And, he's not evaluating me based on right after a 30-minute drive where the leg was in a position where it stiffened up. So it does stiffen up, and things are gradually getting better. It's a little better every day. 2 days ago, I went over to the neighbors who's building a house, and I climbed up the ladder and got up onto the second floor. You have to go up an extension ladder to get up there, and it was not bad. I could not go step over step up the ladder because the spacing of the rungs on the ladder is just a little bit too much for me to do that. So I did, up with the good leg on the way up, and then down with the bad leg on the way down. But I could do it, and I had no trouble getting on and off the ladder and walking around up there while I was up there. So that was good, because I'm going to have to start working on my boat to get it ready to go into water in May. And the only way to get up onto my boat where it is in the boat shed is to climb up an extension ladder. So now I know I can do it, and it shouldn't be that big a problem. I'll just have to be really careful getting onto and off of the boat, and from the ladder to the boat, and from the boat to the ladder. That's probably the only tricky part. And so that's where I am right now. Things are progressing. I am by no means fully recovered, but I can do pretty much what I want. The only issue I have is that when I walk, I have some endurance limitations, that my knee does get tired. And in particular, if I go uphill, walking up a slope. Now, I can go upstairs pretty easily without my knee getting particularly tired. But walking up a slope, I did that the other day, and it really tired my knee out very quickly. So I'm going to have to start doing more of that, finding a walk that has an upslope and going up that slope to strengthen my knee for that particular muscle package. Okay, that wraps up this update. Hope you found it useful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.